Right, lads, we're back. I know I missed last week. I better just address that. My computer too glitchy. Differences with it. Basically, every time I made the video, it wouldn't stop glitching. The boys came up, so I didn't actually make the video. I was going to do it live, but then the boys came up, and fuck it, whatever. Okay, last week was terrible. I don't think many punters or batters done very, very well. So that was a hard card to realistically call. The lock didn't land. I didn't share the lock, but I did land. I will do a forfeit this Saturday on live stream. There will be a forfeit. Try out the UFC, I'll clip it and throw it into video. But anyways, enough of my bullshit, enough of my talking. We're going to get down to UFC Mexico. Of course, Brandon Moreno's taking on Kavanagh. And even though I don't really agree with Kavanagh getting this other fight, I think a lot of people are right. You can't blame the man. He stepped up in short notice. He done what the UFC wanted to do. I think it's more of an interesting fight than him against the Boost, but it's a very, very weak card overall. So let me just get down to lock and let me stop talking absolute shite. Yes, lads. So this week's lock of the week is going to be Christian Quinteras. I think it's Christian Quinteras versus Chris Montano. Now, Moreno over here, Montano has lost his last three, and he's been pretty much finished in a lot of his fights. But again, he has a lot of finishes. It's a bit kind of strange because he loses a standing round TKO to Goody. He gets a standing round TKO from Sean O'Malley. Then he goes on the regional scene and beats 6-7, 22-16, 6-3. Blah blah blah. Then he comes back and obviously Wellmaker absolutely flatlines him. Now he's currently 0-3. I understand the regional scene run here to come back, and yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing here. The under 1.5 I'm going to take 11-10 because Quinteras has been a bit susceptible to submissions, and he's lost to Rani Basalios and Juan Kang now both by submission in round 1 and round 3. Again, I don't see Montero being able to do that, and I think Quinez has the power here. I think both of them are very live for the under 1.5, and that's why I'm going to pick the under 1.5. I'm not going to pick an exact winner here, because I think actually either of them are live for a finish. I think at 11-10, I think it's the best bet on the card. In my opinion, I'm not going to break down the stats, because as I've said, both these really don't have much fights. This week, I'm not going to use too much stat lines, because not many of these actual fights in to the fighters here. No real point to me breaking it down and stuff like that. So that's going to be the lock, and yeah, under 1.5, just think it's going to happen. I think one of these is lively for the finish. I'm not going to predict who. I just think there is a finish coming in this fight, and we will go down to the favourites. So now we are here in the favourites. Edgar Chavez takes on Felipe Buns. Buns probably said. I just think Edgar Chavez is just a more lively fighter here. Felipe Buns has usually lost a lot of his fights, but he's kind of being inactive. His only real win the UFC is against Jose Johnson. He's lost to Josh Van and Restfeld. Two undefeated basically lads at the time, which isn't a bad thing to have. I just don't think he's looked very impressive in either performance. He didn't really stick in there. The Rafael Esteem fight, he was probably in it a lot more, but I just think Edgar Chavez in Mexico, decision is more than likely going to happen here. I think they're just going to swear for the Mexican fighter. I think Edgar Chavez has the better striking, probably not, or the better grappling. He has the longer reach between the two of them at 5'7" and 71 reach. Versus 5'7" and 6'9". She has 2-inch reach advantage, has the reach between them. The age is pretty similar. They're not really giving Edgar Chavez a younger fighter. It is a 6-year difference. Edgar Chavez is actually 30. I thought he was way older. When he shaves the head, he looks a lot older. But I will go with Edgar Chavez there. I just think a Mexico basically robbery is probably on the cards. Right, I just got the shit scared out of me because that's a goal. Oh my gosh, channel balls, fuck off. Next we move into David Martinez. Now David Martinez is 1-3 against Chito Vera. I've kind of balanced this on a kind of scale of do I throw in Chito Vera, but again Chito Vera's lost his last 3. I think I have to be realistic that Chito was just too slow starting when he fights a good fighter. He's like Peter Yan, but he kind of he's like a car that gets stuck in first gear. He never really shifts at all. There's no real get out of first gear. You can see in the O'Malley fight, see in the Zahabi fight, where he got back a massive third round against, but again, it's one of these things where the car doesn't really start. And at David Martinez, with a great performance against Rob Font at 1-3, I can see him take this down. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I'd say a 29-28 decision because Chito Vera's chin is absolutely, granite, so he's not going to be able to finish Chito Vera in my opinion. So we will just move ahead to Brandon Moreno. Now, Brandon Moreno, again, as I said, Lonnie Kavanagh stepped up. Very fair play to him, he stepped up on short notice. But I do think Brandon Moreno probably not rolls to him. I think the first 3 rounds will be pretty close, but I think in the championship rounds, I think Brandon takes it over. We've seen pretty poor cardio from Lonnie Kavanagh trying to force wrestling too much against Charles Johnston. Got finished in that fight. I think there's a good chance that Brandon Moreno is able to do the exact same thing, hold him up, force him to kind of waste a lot of cardio at wrestling, being able to put the forward pressure on him, break him down, and then take him down in the championship rounds. I would say round 4 finish for Brandon Moreno, and then we'll go to Eileen Perez, the twerk machine. I do believe that she is the better fighter between her and Macy Chiasson. I think Macy Chiasson has never really used her length. Like, she's so much of a taller woman in the division, but she is someone who's very happy to sit in guard and try and sort submissions, which loses her a lot of fights. Kind of like a Jantel Almeida of the women's division. Never really got a striking game developed. It looks better in her recent fights, but again, I don't think that she's really ever developed one to ever actually use that length. To me, I think Irene Perez is probably the future of this division. I think she's probably one of the better fighters to come through this division, personally speaking, and I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for her. I will go with another decision. I can't see her finishing the fight, so 5-9, I'll take her at 29-20. Actually, sorry, I'll take her at 30-27. I think she absolutely dominates Macy Chiasson. I think she absolutely creams her on the night. So we will go down to the underdogs. I'm going through this a bit quicker because there's actually not a lot to talk about in the favourites, but when we get here I think it gets kind of interesting because I'm going to start with King Green. Now, I don't think many people will be really going with King Green at this point. I really don't think they would be, but I am, because I thought Zen Hooper's looked pretty shit in his last performances. The Rebios one, fair enough, okay, he started brilliantly, he just got cracked down. But the Michael Johnson one, he just looked scared to throw. He looked almost kind of like his length is something he does not use. He has such a reach advantage over so many fighters in the 155 because he's like 6'3", I want to say, but I could be wrong on that. He is 6'1", 77 reach, and King Green is 5'10", 71. So he has a 6-inch reach advantage, and sorry, it's 2 inches off. I thought 61, but still, it's one of those ones where I just don't think they used it. He looked nervous. He didn't really throw. He didn't let anything go. I think if you do this against the likes of King Green, where he's going to keep his hands down and keep forward pressuring you, just the same as Michael Johnson did, I think Zen Hooper's been kind of exposed that he's just not as good as a lot of people thought. I'm going to go with King Green at 7-2. I think King Green will just be able to keep the pressure going. He won't throw up his hands because that just isn't his style, but I think he's going to just keep pushing forward till the end of the fight and definitely be able to land something big that I think will be able to shift it. I think he'll be able to get a knockdown here on Zen Hooper because I still don't think he's going to be able to use his length. I think King Green's going to be able to knock him down, win a pretty controversial decision. I'm going to say it at 29-28. I think it's going to be controversial enough because it's in Mexico. We'll move down to Brandon Moreno down by sub. Look, I've already talked about this in the favourites. I think round 4 finish. I think he cracks him down the championship rounds. At those odds, give me the KO sub. Boom, boom, boom. Double finish in the fight. Simple as that. We then move over to Douglas De La Silva. Now, Douglas De La Andra Silva is one of the weirdest fighters on this card. Because if I'm not mistaken, if I go check odds, because he had a massive jump in odds. Now, again, this could have just come from people realising who he's fighting has never actually fought anyone. I don't think people really do this, but boom! Come on! There's 67 beads. Yes! Come on! Okay, just to break that down, I may have this wrong, but he's 190 plus, and I swear on my life he started around a 4-1. I don't know what has made him come in. I think it's maybe because people realised his fighter Javier Reyes does have a lot of first round finishes, but it's against cans in the South American regional scene, which I wouldn't say is very highly rated. Deandre Da Silva has been in the UFC for a very, very long time. He is 7-6 inside the UFC. He has lost to Miles Johns, Sidon Amanda, so top of the division realistically, Low Murphy, Peter Yan, Rob Font. Like, anyone who's top of the division he's fought. He's beaten Chito Vera, he's beaten Rano Benalto. And to me, even though it's a 2-year break, I still think he has every part of skill to be able to beat Javier Reyes here. I think it's just one of these things where the chin could be gone, he could be a bit more rusty. But Javier Reyes, like, again, I picked him on the Contender Series, but he just hasn't beaten anyone. It's kind of one of those ones where, like, Chase Gibson, they're not bad, fair enough records, but it's just, you know, you look at someone like this and it's like, you know, was his Contender Series finish good? Yes. Does he translate against someone who knows what they're fully doing with the experience of the Silva? I don't think so. I'll pick the Silva to win this one. I think there's a finish coming inside it. I think that's the way I'll play it. And then we'll move into the last fight of the card, which will be, or the last fight in this, which will be Santiana Luna. Now, I wanted to bring out a bit of a big one here. I do think Luna wins this. I do think Luna gets the finish, but I'm going to go quite big. And I'm going to say he gets the first round finish. I have a feeling that this is probably the right move. 7-2, first round knockout. He has a few submissions on his record, but I think Angel will be able to stop a lot of this. I think Luna catches him on the feet like he did to Quan Yang. Now, Quan Yang did rock him a few different times, staying kind of a bit more central. I think there'll be a bit more head roar. Lads, I had to come here now and make the end of this. The Akapa is 42. Luna will finish this by knockout. I'm not sure what happened to the end of this video. I actually don't know. I was looking at here, all audio just cuts out, so I'm just gonna add it here. So if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. I will do this forfeit on Saturday. You'll be in there to see it. I'll think it's something within that time. It's a bit of a time frame. So anyways, everything I said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.